Coach Keating here. Grab a notebook and take notes. This video is full of amazing tips for your development. Coach Keating here. I'm in Philadelphia and I'm getting ready to go into the Character Lab. The Character Lab is the center of innovation to help youths develop character. We're going to be interviewing the founder, one of the founders and CEO, Angela Duckworth, on how to develop character in a team environment, and also get some tips for parents and players for developing character outside of your team. It's going to be a blast, guys. Can't wait to share with you. Sometimes you wake up and you have no idea what the day is going to hold for you. This one just blew me away.
Want to have breakfast with me? Come on. He knows exactly where that is.
Let's pack and head to the airport, Phil. What separates us from realizing our potential is not our size and strength and speed and even smarts, it's what we do with those. Most people never develop their talents. Oh, they're very busy, but they're doing things that will not help them reach their full potential. Well, it turns out what gets you to your potential faster than anything is not what was given to you at birth, but what's inside of you, your character. Everyone readily sees great athletic traits like strength and size and speed, but it takes time to see an athlete with great character. I recently asked a top 10 coach how his recruiting was going, and he said about half of the recruits today don't pan out. I asked what the #1 reason why was, and he said they just stopped working. Hard work, sustaining hard work, grit, that's a character trait. This is so much more than athletics. It's the very foundation of your future. The greatest thing about character is that it can be learned. In fact, I believe it's more important than talent because it allows you to develop your talents to an extraordinary level. Are you curious to know how? Would you be interested in becoming extraordinary? What if your entire team learned how to take their character to another level? Would that make a difference? Hey, Phil, roll that intro. This is Cameron at the Character Lab. I'm looking up because he's 6 foot 6 inches tall, and he played college soccer. take a look at what they're all about. I believe character allows you to develop your talents to their fullest.
Hey guys, I'm sitting here with Angela Duckworth talking about developing grit in teams. Thank you for doing this, by the way.
Hello, Cam. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. So the first question I have for you is, you asked the question in your book, why do some people work harder than others? Which I love that question. What impact have you seen when teams and individuals have the culture of working harder and longer than what's expected of them?
One of the most powerful things you can do to be grittier yourself is to actually join a group of people who are also working hard toward a goal. There's nothing more motivating than knowing your teammates are waking up also, the same god-awful hour, before the sun has come up, and, that suffering that you put in a practice together. It's so much easier to travel together than it is to travel alone. Mm-hmm. So I think that there is, of course, an occasion and a necessity to be gritty as a person, but there's really a power in being part of a gritty team.
Do you have any tips for growing grit in a team environment?
I think team grit starts with leadership. The leader of the team, sometimes that's formally the captain, but it could be the coach, and it really could just be a player who steps up and takes a leadership role, even informally. They need to model grit. They need to model having passion for what they do, loving it, being curious to learn more, and feeling like the goal of the team is something that has purpose, something that has meaning beyond just your individual selfish interests. You're doing it for the good of the sport, or you're doing it so that, other girls and boys who are watching, can be inspired. So it's modeling the passion, and it's also modeling the perseverance. And every great team has somebody on that team who gets that team to practice hard and to focus on their weaknesses and take feedback. And I think that modeling is maybe more important than anything else that can happen on a team to build grit.
You've talked about the importance of kindness and how it's somewhat missing today. Can you discuss the impact of respect and kindness on creating a positive, gritty culture?
I want to say, first of all, that grit and kindness are not the same thing. And if a coach or a player is only focused on grit, then they're actually leaving out a lot of things that are important. Kindness is one, but other things like curiosity and creativity. There are a lot of things that are important. To me, these collectively make up your character. Mm-hmm. And character is more than just being gritty. So I'm glad you brought up kindness, because I think, even though I don't study it personally, I think it's incredibly important. I'm a mom, I'm a teacher, and I want my students and my kids to be kind as well as gritty. If you want people to be kind, you might ask, well, what do you do? And I think that the same principles for grit apply for kindness. If you want people to be kind, you should be kind. You should model kindness. And also, I think naming character strengths like grit and kindness helps. So if you're a coach and you see some terrific, inspiring exchange or act of kindness or act of grit, say to the player, like, hey, that looks like grit to me. What you did there was incredibly kind. I think there's a power to naming, and that's some of the advice that I try to use myself as a mother and also as a leader.
Awesome. And then lastly, do you have a tip for parents to help their kids develop grit?
In my book, I write about the hard thing rule, about doing something that requires daily practice with feedback on how you can get better. The second part of the hard thing rule is that you can't quit things in the middle. I don't believe that kids should quit in the middle of a season or in the middle of a commitment, unless there's a really good reason why, but generally you should finish what you start. And then finally, I thought, for the intrinsic motivation piece, the part about passion, the part that it was yours and not being forced upon you, the third part of the hard thing rule is just, pick the hard thing yourself. Let the kids pick the hard thing themselves. But after I wrote the book, I realized that my own kids were not necessarily getting the passion out of their hard things. And I thought, well, where did I go wrong? And I decided that we should have a fun thing rule, which is that everybody should also do something which is totally fun. I mean, just because you like it. And when you're very young, maybe your hard thing and your fun thing are two different things. Mm-hmm. My daughter Lucy has a hard thing, which is viola, and her fun thing is baking. And she thinks of them that way, but as she gets older, she's now almost 15, she sees how baking can be a hard thing. She sees how you can actually get feedback and get better and become a more and more expert baker. And also, her viola is becoming more fun. So she's actually getting a lot of pleasure out of it that she never had before. And my hope is for Lucy, but for all young people and frankly grown-ups too, is that your hard thing and your fun thing are the same thing, because there's nothing more gratifying than working really hard at something that you love.
And then what about on the flip side, a tip for kids and players trying to develop grit?
If you're trying to develop your own grit, I think the first question to ask is, what do you think is the problem? You know, sometimes I get people who they email me or they call me or I meet with them in person, and they have a feeling like they're not as passionate about what they're doing as they would like. They know they're not working that hard, and they ask me for advice. And I always turn the tables on them, and I always say, what do you think is going on? And I'll tell you that almost always people, when they actually put the mirror to themselves, they'll be able to tell you and themselves, you know, what it is that they need to work on next. For some people, it's going to be the passion part, but for others, it'll be the perseverance. For those who are working on passion, sometimes they feel like they're not learning anymore. They've kind of lost that beginner's mind of curiosity. I mean, say you play soccer for, you know, a decade. Is there anything else to learn? Well, some people may have kind of slipped into this feeling like there's nothing else to learn. In other words, as you start to ask this question, like, well, what is it that's going on with me? I think if you reflect honestly, you'll be able to zero in on maybe the one thing that you might want to think about next. Generally, human beings are not very good at working on 2, 3, 4, 5 things. So if you want to be grittier, ask yourself, what is one thing that I can do that might put me on a path?
Right.
Creating a culture in the team that we go beyond what is required. Because everybody goes to practice twice a week or 3 times a week, but it's the ones that go beyond that. And it's not just one kid, because one kid can get better. It's going to move the needle a little bit on a team. But getting the core of a team to decide that we want to get better as a team and do more than what's required. Any thoughts on that?
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I completely agree. If a team has an identity of what it means to be on this team is different from every other, and then you got to fill in the blank, every other soccer team, every other football team, every other basketball team, they have to have an identity of being special. They have to have an identity of like, well, I don't know how they do it, and I don't know how everyone else does it, but I know how we do it. And sometimes teams call it like their way, like the Butler basketball team calls it the Butler way. Even if you look at non-sports teams, like the Cleveland Clinic is one of the highest rated medical specialty clinics in the world, and they have what's called the Cleveland Clinic Way. The Mayo Clinic also is a great medical facility. They have the Mayo Way. Now, what all these ways are, you know, you could say, oh my gosh, all these things are the same, but their identity feels unique. So really people need to have like, this is like our mascot, this is our tradition, this is what we say before team, you know, practices, you know, the rituals, the identity that really set you apart. And I will also just give you this hint, which is that when there's a very strong team identity, there really is a bright line between you and everyone else. And so it's not like a continuum. It's not like we're sort of like warriors, you know, we're kinda this. There's a just you know, 100% commitment to, you know, when we're on this side of the line and you're in our group, then you do it our way.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this.
Thank you, Cam. This has been really fun for me.
You've just heard from the leading expert in character development. Now take one of these 10 tips and make them a part of you or a part of your team. I like all 10 tips, but number 2 is something you can start on right away, and it reminds me of Gandhi. If you like the video, forward the page to a friend or a teammate, or like the video or subscribe on YouTube, or better yet, invite me to speak to your organization. I love paying it forward to the community.